Hello, my jelly fighters. My name is Jim, and this is your Daily Brogue. For the 6th of November, 2021. I still need to drink. I'm a little dry. I wouldn't think I'd be that dry. I've been drinking things all day, but that's alright. So, what sort of things... Oh, good. Go around that way somehow. What sort of things would I like to complain about today? Okay, so on Rationally Speaking, I listened to episodes 21 or 114 and 117. Well, no, 114 and 119 maybe, I think. One was on assholes, and the other one was on where they interviewed the author, Aaron James, of On Assholes fame, or maybe just Assholes, which is a book which I will not read. And I'll probably explain that in a little while. I mean, the big reason is like they said in episode 114 at the end, you have to take a peek at, let's see, is that an empowerment? No, that's plenty. If there was an empowerment and a plenty, then that would be awesome. But two monkeys are worth just as much as one monkey, and if you know any mathematics, if this is the way mathematicians think, if two times x is equal to x, then x has to be equal to 0, right? So monkeys are not worth anything. Let's see. In fact, probably they're sort of something of a negative worth. So I was listening to those. And I was feeling reasonably good about it. Yeah. These, in both of these, come back. Should let the key there. In both of these podcast episodes, Julie and Massimo, because it was that early, right? It was back when Rationally Speaking had two hosts instead of one host right now. The old heated one monkey. So it was, at that point, Julie and Massimo was two people hosting one podcast. And they were talking about, as I said, conjuration, sorry, they're all two. Conjuration, obstruction, discord, poison. I like conjuration, but conjuration needs more. And probably even needs more to start with. Let's see. So Julie and Massimo in 114 were talking about many things. Thinking tunneling 4, okay. The most important one was on jerks or something like that. There was a paper on jerks that came out. I think it must have come out after Assholes, and the guy who wrote it has turned that into a franchise. He's written several. Papers based on the same idea, like the jerkitude idea. Lots of Nasty's worst food. But I don't think he'd done that at that point. But I mean, I found at least one popular presentation of his article that was basically the same as his article, maybe rewritten, and I mean, it was him who wrote it, but still, it was basically just the same paper rewritten, with maybe one difference. Right, maybe one difference. And I'll get to that later, if I get there at all. You know how it is. I'm already on step 3. I haven't told you anything. So, you know, I was listening to both of these. First the Assholes, and then the Potpourri, right? Potpourri episode. And in the Potpourri episode, they started with the jerk. So, you know, you get both of these together. I did, and like I said, read the actual jerk article. And I did not read the book because it takes a lot of time to read a book. This could last a long time. Man. Let's see. If I am to nothing. Okay. Fly H2M apply. M to him. M. Okay. Might have had to take a mulligan. Let's see. So they were talking about on assholes. Now, the first thing that happens when you hear about assholes or one of these papers, assholes and jerks. You say, well, do I meet his criteria? Right? Am I enough of a jerk for this guy? Right? That's what you do. That's what I do. I don't know what you do. You had your own problems. That one's mine. And he actually addresses it. And it's not a bad sign. It's actually a good sign if you do something like that, according to him. Right? But it's one of those things. It's like the best way to tell if somebody should be, if you should vote for somebody, is if they ran for office. Right? If they ran for office, then they are probably a psychopath, at least a narcissist. They must be a narcissist, but are probably a psychopath as well. They're probably a really awful person. Otherwise, they wouldn't run for office. Right? And that's you have to be really full of yourself to want to have that kind of power. That's what people are attracted. Those sorts of people are attracted to politicians. And we're all sort of aware of this particular problem. And so I guess one of the important things we have to do is figure out how to deal with this kind of issue. Let's see. Can't get it there. That's perfect though. That will clear out some of those jerks. So, what makes a jerk? Well, a jerk is basically someone who doesn't care too much about the opinions of others. Right? What makes you a good person is that you care about the opinions of other people, at least according to this sort of theory, and the jerk is the person who fails to live up to that standard. You worry too much about yourself and your goals and desires, and not enough about other people and their goals and their desires. Like I said, the first thing you do is you say, okay, well, how does this apply to me? And the easiest way to think about this is, well, what do they say on my student evaluations? I guess that's the easiest thing to look at. Is, how do they say things? What do the students say about you? What do the people, in a sense, they don't really work for me, students, but they do in a sense, right? In a very non-remunerative sense, right? Say, well, Jim, the students pay tuition, and I say, yes, but I get like $50 of it, right? It's not that little. Now let's see. Let's see if I'm going to go with 150 students. Let's get the calculator. Let's see how much they pay me for talking to them for an hour. That's a calendar, not the calculator. And I should say, they don't really pay you, right? Other people pay me, and usually that's the state, right? So for most students at the school, the state pays 2/3 of their tuition, and then they get additional financial aid on top of that. So they're not really paying me. They're not really the customers, right? Somebody else is the customer. Usually, even the student's not paying that. So let's see. Let's say I make $30,000 a semester. That's pretty close. And I've got 150 students, and there are 45 hours of instruction in class. So I get paid $4 an hour. They pay me $4 an hour. They're assholes. They should double that minimum. Okay. Okay. That's me. I'm sorry, but just then they go to their tutors who just do the homework for them and pay those guys, $150 an hour or something like that. So those shitheads can fuck off. Jesus, those lazy fuckers. I shouldn't do calculations like that. And you'll notice that did not. Those are just contact hours. That didn't include the fact that, I have to prepare all the crap that I do over the. What is that? Over the coronavirus thing. I had to make completely new materials because, boards didn't exist anymore. I wasn't able to call people up to the board. All that other sort of stuff that makes education actually work, didn't have access to that. The only thing you could do is, talk at them and hope they were actually listening, which, if you know anything about education, they were not. Right? Students listened to 10 minutes out of, it's more than 10%, but not much more, out of every hour's worth of lecture. Right? It's not a lot, 10 minutes out of an hour. I've heard different numbers. I've heard 15. There was I think education departments think this is new. There was a book I found in a library, in the University of Houston library when I was, so I was just visiting. So I was working in New Orleans, but over the summer I went to do some work in a lab. I built a spectrometer for someone, and I miss doing stuff like that. That's a long ways away, right? So I built somebody a spectrometer. I like this spectrometer. It's good. I tried to use it a couple of times. Let's see. So, anyways, I went down there and I found a book, and in it was like teaching interwar physics in England, really weird book to exist. And I read, one of those little stories, and one of them was talking about a professor who, in an hour-long class, would stop after 20 minutes, take a 10-minute break, and then talk for another 20 minutes, because he didn't think that undergraduates could handle an entire hour worth of lecture. And that's absolutely true. Undergraduates can't handle the 50-minute lecture. It's too much for them. In fact, most human beings can't do that. That's one of these things that they're talking about. So I should not laugh like that. So I should try to create a soothing persona. Right? That's what I should be working on. So, these undergraduates. So, this professor would just do that. When I did 2-hour lectures, I'd still do that, even though they were mixed up with activities and, labs and things like that. I had the students for 2 hours. I'd still give them a 10-minute break because it's a long time. Right? Anyways, thank you very much. I will try again, and hopefully I will get something that will help me with the vampire bat. Actually, I could have gotten that vampire bat too. I thought about it, and I just waited too long to enchant that poison a little more.